Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at the Super Strike revamp or update and the Extreme Z Awakening for the AGL Super Strike Vegeta Kid, otherwise known as the Prodigy Prince Super Strike event. So obviously they have done a couple Super Strike EZAs back in the day, and essentially we're just going to take a look at the event in its entirety. So from the first stage you get the copies of Vegeta Kid as an SR. The second stage you receive awakening medals to awaken him to a UR, and then from the third stage you receive the medals for his TUR, and then from the fourth stage you will receive the medals to Dokkan or Extreme Z Awaken him. Now there are some missions, there's a lot of stones to earn from this as well, so it's definitely something that a lot of players should do. Now they do suggest that you bring stuns for the final stage, and we will be taking on the final stage. I'll also be doing this entire event with only free-to-play units, so that you can see what the experience will be like if you don't have the premier units, and also of course I will give you a step-by-step procedure on how I tackle these events, and exactly what you need to farm, when, who, and why. So yeah, basically, to cut a long story short, Vegeta's Extreme Z Awakening and his Awakening look pretty decent. Obviously his EZA is kind of what people are most interested in. I think Vegeta's also an interesting unit because he's obviously, he's Vegeta but as a kid. So he's on Youth, but he's also on Terrifying Conquerors, Space Traveling Warriors, Gifted Warriors. This is the Dragon Ball Z Vegeta Kid, so he's obviously different to the Vegeta Kid and Raditz unit that we have. You also have a bonus for Space Traveling Warriors, so you're going to want to take advantage of that when you are farming the stages. That's going to be how you earn the majority of your bonuses, and it's going to really reduce the amount of time it takes for you to grind for certain resources. Now there are some missions involved. Most of them are based through stages, so as you work your way through the event you should naturally complete pretty much all of the missions. So I will work through them organically basically, but most of them are to do with obviously increasing Vegeta and raising him up to his Extreme Z Awakened state. There are some missions for the final stage which we will complete with the free-to-play team, and those are to use a first form Frieza and also to use a team of Space Traveling Warriors. Now in terms of team build, basically team build is going to be pretty straightforward. Space Traveling Warriors free to play, fortunately there are a lot of decent options. As lead I'm going to be taking the physical Captain Ginyu from the battlefield, but there's plenty of great options. Just remember that you are facing a agility enemy most of the time, so try and capitalize on rather bringing some tech units. You'll see I later change up the team and I switch into Doria and Zarbon, and the reason being is just to have more tech units, basically amplify the damage and really have a good go. Remember, rarity does affect your bonus chance, so if you do have summonable units or higher rarity characters that you can afford to put in the team, rather do that because it will give you a lot better situation. Basically, to cut a long story short, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but from this first stage what you want to do is you simply want to farm 10 copies of Vegeta. This is going to be the base copy of your unit, and it's going to be the most important thing for you to do. I'll talk about the additional things that you can do later on, but right now when you are starting the event the only important thing is to farm 10 base copies of the SR, and because you get 1 from the missions you only actually need to farm 9 of them. Okay, so when you first do the event you farm 9 of them, and then you will feed those into them to get the unit to SA10. You don't need to worry about having additional copies for the hidden potential system, because you will be getting those copies from missions. So that's the first thing. The second stage is for the awakening medals. Those awakening medals are also, you only need 7 of them. It's fairly straightforward, and again you don't need to worry about it too much. It's all fairly simple, fairly straightforward stuff. So the first 2 stages are basically just to get kind of the base materials you need for Vegeta. So All you need is 10 copies of the SR, or 9 copies of the SR from the first stage, and you're going to need 7 medals from the second stage. You don't need backup copies or hidden potential or anything like that. Now for those of you who want to prepare for the EZA and don't want to use Kais, at this point you may also want to consider farming 5 extra Vegetas at SR and farming 7 extra medals from stage 2. You will use those to create a second copy of Vegeta that we are eventually going to Dokkan Awaken and feed into our EZA copy. So if you're going for the full package, you're essentially going for 14 copies of SR Vegeta from here, one which will be SA10, the other which will be SA5, and 14 Awakening medals. That's pretty much it. If you've done that, you're pretty much good to go on to the next section. In terms of Vegeta or the Super Strikes, just remember that when you awaken them, they do go up to SA15. I am factoring that in, so don't panic too much. Everything will be explained to you in the video. So now that you've completed stage 1 and stage 2, you simply just need to refarm them. Just redo the stages until you have the appropriate amount of medals. Like I said, if you're going for the full batch, it's going to be 14 copies of Vegeta and it's going to be 14 medals. The missions will give you everything else you need, so you don't need to worry too much. At this point now, you're going to train Vegeta. So you're going to go here when you have enough copies, you're going to train him, and then you're going to Dokkan Awaken him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip ahead off screen and do those exact steps so that we can move on to the next stages. So just bear with me, you'll see a little bit of a jump skip, and then I will have obviously now trained Vegeta to SA10, and then I'll also have awakened him. So there you go, there's the little jump. You'll see that I have awakened Vegeta to his SSR state and put him to level 10. The game will now give you copies of SSR Vegeta. You can use these copies in a variety of ways in whatever order you want to, but this is how I like to do it. So once I get given these copies, you get 5 copies for awakening him. I like to use those 5 copies, and I like to awaken his hidden potential system. So I train Vegeta, and then I go and I will open all the paths of his hidden potential system. The reason I open all the hidden potential paths first is because if you screw up and let's say you accidentally remove the copy, or you use it for the wrong thing, or you train them incorrectly, you have to farm a lot less copies if you do this for his hidden potential system first. So once you've trained him and awakened him to his UR state, you can then awaken all the hidden potential paths. So I do this first. Some people might do it differently, you might do it differently, it's more than fine. It's really not a big issue, but I like to do it first. So you do that first and you should have 1 spare copy left over. We will then also get 1 copy from our missions for opening up his first path. Then you will get 3 more copies when you actually awaken him further. So you'll see here we receive all these rewards, hidden potential orbs as well, which is great. And then now we move on to stage 3. Stage 3 will drop his final set of Dokkan Awakening medals. These medals that you get are obviously valuable, but you need 10 of these medals. So not 7 like originally, you will only need 10 of these medals. So now again, if you are farming everything at once, you're going to need 20 of these medals. You need 10 for the baseline Vegeta, the main copy that we just opened all the hidden potential paths for, and you'll need 10 for your second copy of Vegeta, who will be at SA5. Once you have done that, you are basically ready to go. Again, this fight is nothing too crazy. It's really not that difficult. You should be able to use the exact same team, especially if you are following my team. You'll be able to use the same team throughout the whole phase, but you should be able to use the exact same team that you utilized for the first 2 stages. This is really not the most difficult stage, and yeah, this is a fairly simple, fairly easy part. So yeah, all fairly good. As you can see, did it in one go, bang, done. So that is stage 3. Obviously you need to farm the stage until you have 10 medals, and then like I said, if you want to farm all the materials you need at once, you're going to need to farm it until you have 20 medals, because that's how many you're going to need in total for Vegeta. So yeah, fairly simple stuff, fairly straightforward stuff. Obviously in terms of everything else, you'll notice now that you've also completed some more missions. So again, what I will be doing is I'll be shifting off screen. I'll be going and I will be awakening my copy of Vegeta. So you'll see that we need 10 medals to awaken him, and then you'll also see that we obviously have his SA there as well. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to obviously finish collecting all the medals, which you'll see right here. And then once you've got all the medals, you can see I haven't done any further missions. We're going to go back and we're going to prep the process with Vegeta. So first we're going to train him. We're then also going to feed the 5 duplicate Vegetas in there, so these at max SA. Then once he's at max SA, once he's been fully trained up, we are now going to awaken him with these 10 medals. So there we go, pretty straightforward, nice stuff. Train him to max level. Now you're ready to take on his 4th stage, which is obviously his challenge stage for his Dokkan Awakening, or his Extreme Z Awakening I should say. So now obviously in this phase, the 4th stage can be quite challenging. I want to preface it that it is not a shame to use summonable units or anything for the 4th stage. It's actually, as with most of the other Super Strike EZAs, a fairly difficult stage. It's not like it's a complete walk in the park. Fortunately, the free-to-play team that you run to complete his missions here is quite powerful. The Ginyu Force is a very powerful team. The EZA for the battlefield, Captain Ginyu, is very strong. So overall, this is a very powerful free-to-play team, probably one of the better ones. And you have a lot of favorable type matchups, a lot of stunning that you have available as well. And the Alar that you can take, the friend Alar, being a strength final form cooler, is also very, very good. So there's a lot of good kind of control. Basically, I want to say you can take a Captain Ginyu if you want. You can take whichever one, just make sure they obviously cover all of your bases. And the Frieza first form that we'll be using is the Prime Battle one, although the best one would probably be the transforming first form Frieza, just due to the fact that he essentially, is quite powerful, and he also provides a type advantage as well. So the interesting thing here is the 4th stage has 3 phases. It goes AGL into AGL, and you can stun every single phase. So units that stun, aka the Kid Vegeta, are actually pretty helpful units, and you should consider bringing them. The unit I brought that can stun is Gildo, but you should generally bring quite a few stunners. The more stunning units you have, the easier a time you're going to have. There is, beyond the category missions, also a mission for completing the stage in under 5 turns. Now I unfortunately just miss out here, which is the only real shame, but you should be able to do it with just a slight tweak to this team. Also a bit more luck with crits, basically. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Only other tip or advice I can give you realistically for this event is just to basically avoid bringing strength types if possible. Obviously there are some exclusions. The final form cooler Alar is obviously very powerful regardless, and the strength transforming cooler does have crits against pure Saiyans, so that's also something that could be pretty helpful as well. Now since we're just watching me complete the challenge stage, I think we can talk a little bit about Vegeta. So Vegeta has attack and defense of 100% when performing a super attack, which traditionally means he's a 2nd slot unit. He gains 20% attack and defense with each attack performed, and an additional attack of 20% with each super attack performed. He also gets 50% defense if there's a youth category ally attacking in the same turn, and another 50% defense with another Gifted Warriors category ally attacking in the same turn. He will launch an additional attack that has a medium chance of becoming a super attack with 3 or more key spheres obtained. Now, Vegeta has the ability to fire additional super attacks. he does build up quite quickly with additional super attacks. For me personally, I feel like crit is the way to go here to maximize his eventual max cap damage. But, you know, I think personally speaking, you know, you could obviously go for some additional. But I think personally, crit is the best way to go. Like, crit is just going to be very solid, and I think it's going to enable you to really take advantage of his eventual cap of attack, which I think is a good way to go with it. Getting 3 key spheres is also not that difficult, so that's why I say you can rely on his passive to provide the additional attacks. Now, you will still have some additional, which is obviously fine, and that's just going to enable him to do even more attacks in a turn. So for me, I think, personally speaking, this is the best way to go with him. Some people will like to go additionals, it's just not needed. I know it will technically build up his attack and defense a little bit faster, but you're going to get the majority of your defense from actually pairing him with a youth or gifted warriors category character in the turn. And then you are going to get a lot of it from him swiftly stacking. To put it bluntly, he needs 5 attacks to get to his max defense capabilities. You know, so if he gets an additional, gets 3 orbs every turn. Even if you build him full additional, the most you can attack in a single turn is 3. So instead of him hitting his max defense in turn 3, he will hit his max defense in turn 2, which, or his second turn out, I should say, which isn't that crazy a development. You know, it's not going to absolutely change how he functions as a unit. So for me, it's not really worth it. I'd rather have the crits. If you go full additional, you are foregoing another crit on the build, and basically you could be dramatically reducing his damage. But that's it. Essentially, I think that's everything covered. So obviously what I will do now is, as with all the other stages before, I'm going to skip ahead until we've EZA'd Vegeta, and then, or we've got the medals to EZA Vegeta, and then we'll EZA them together and we'll just run through anything else you guys need to know. So obviously you can see we've completed a fair amount of the missions, which is obviously very, very good. You need to complete stage 4 3 times. There's still completing it within the time limit. All of that stuff we're going to do off screen. The time limit, like I said, you just need to get a little bit luckier with crits, and yeah, you should be more than fine. So here we skipped ahead. We've got all the materials we need. If you complete the missions, you will only have to do the stage 3 times. If you do not complete the missions, you will have to do the stage an additional 2 times, because the missions give at least 1 stage worth of attempts. So just keep that in mind. We're now going to EZA Vegeta. At this point, if you've been following the process, you will have a second copy of Vegeta that's also Dokkan Awakened at SA5 that you will be able to feed into this one when you train him. If you do not have that, then you're going to need to go back to the event and you're going to need to get that copy of Vegeta from there. You can see we've completed all of the missions except for maxing Vegeta's SA. And that's going to require you, like I said, if you haven't done it or followed through with the video, you're going to need to farm it from the stages. But you only need to do stages 1, 2, and 3. You do not need to EZA the second copy. But that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.